Welcome to OLP 6632, Research and Organizations. As you probably have guessed, I'm Karen Wilson Scott. Karen Wilson is my first name, Scott is my last name, and I am so much looking forward to this particular course. It's a demanding course because research is not intuitive. Nonetheless, it is a fun course, and we will have an opportunity to find a topic that you're passionate about, that you can think about in terms of conducting your own research project. All right, let's get started. First of all, we're going to just talk about what the website looks like and take a small tour just so that we become familiar with the course. There will be this video that's located right here. Start here. And you can reference this video whenever you want to. It will continue to be there. There are also a number of other resources for you. There are general resources that are specific to student success at Idaho State University. Please avail yourself of these resources as you need them. Notice the last one goes to our website, and hopefully in the very near future our website will itself become a lot more robust and informative as far as offering you as a student more resources. Our entire discipline is about linking people with resources, so we want to model that as much as possible. So these are again ISU resources. And then we have research resources. So the proposal resources, again, the whole reason that we are doing this course is to learn how to plan a research project. The plan for a research project is typically referred to as a proposal. So these are research planning or proposal resources. The proposal consists generally of 3 chapters or sections, and this again is generally what we would constitute a proposal or plan. And the chapters or the sections begin with section 1, which is an introduction and has a number of different elements in it, and we'll begin talking about that probably next week. Then chapter or section 2 is a review of the literature, and the literature is really what we already know about this topic. The literature, you will find, does not always agree. So when we're discussing the literature in chapter or section 2, we want to make that clear. We want to disclose that there are multiple camps, if you will, that vary in their approach and vary in their conclusions with respect to our topic and elements of our topic. So we don't want to provide the reader with a slanted point of view, but more a well-rounded point of view about what currently exists and how we know it. Notice also at the bottom here are qualitative proposal outlines and quantitative proposal outlines, because those are the 2 paradigms in which we will work. Certainly it's possible to do a mixed method, but we won't in this particular course because it gives us then essentially 2 projects in one, and we don't want to do that. We want to have a simpler approach, so we're going to do qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative is all about the numbers. How can we take a topic and investigate it through numbers, so that we might be surveying, ending with this percentage of people believe this about our topic, while Y percentage of people believe something else about our topic, or are less satisfied or more satisfied with whatever our question is. Now the qualitative view or qualitative approach is more about the words, the narrative, and so I would refer to that as the rest of the story. If X number of people believe such and such, who are those folks and what specifically do they say? And that's the qualitative approach. As we go through our course, we want to begin each week by going to the weekly framework or agenda. That's where we want to check first. So week 1 framework is going to talk about an overview in a little more depth. And that's where we want to begin. So let's move on. Our course has 3 textbooks. Notice that there is a 4th and possibly, I think, even a 5th edition out now that John Cresswell has offered up for us with research design, qualitative, quantitative, and mixed method approaches. Remember that I said we're only going to, in this course, concern ourselves with qualitative and quantitative and not mixed methods. It's possible in a qualitative approach to have ask a couple of quantitative survey type questions, and in a quantitative survey it's possible to ask a couple of qualitative questions that at the end. That doesn't make it a mixed method, because we will treat those data if it's asking a couple of questions about if we've asked a survey, then we might ask what haven't we talked about that's important for me to understand, and the person then is going to give you a qualitative answer, but we're going to tally that and so use a quantitative approach. So the 3rd edition is a lot less expensive, and it's just fine for this course. So the 3rd edition of Research Design, Qualitative, Quantitative, and Mixed Method Approaches by Cresswell. And then we have Human Resource Development, Research Handbook by Swanson and Holton. And this is the textbook. This is what it looks like. Then we've got Research and Organizations, also by Swanson and Holton. And so those, along with, of course, our APA 6th manual and a methodology text which you will choose for your particular study, your particular plan or proposal. So we didn't talk about the last chapter or section, and that is section 3, and that is about the methods. And that methodology text that you are going to get, or possibly papers, scholarly papers, if that happens to benefit you more. For example, you might have Dillman's paper on survey that would give you, or article on survey that would give you more information than perhaps a textbook would, because if it's more recent, then it might give you information that is more appropriate for you and your study. Moving on to our project, we have only one project which we will break into pieces or chunks. And so this is going to all build on itself toward our final proposal draft. In week 2, we are going to, that's next week, right? We're going to select our topic. So we're going to move pretty quickly through the class. The topic selection will be worth 5 points. And so there will certainly be more on that as we go into week 2. A literature map, then we'll begin to build toward building our review of the literature, our section 2, right? And so that we'll start with our literature map, and that's worth 5 points, due in week 3. Notice we're going to keep on building these chunks in a fairly rapid way. Then we must identify a problem in the literature. Now, problem could also be a need or something lacking in the scholarly literature, something that we don't yet know. This is a problem statement. That's a sentence that ends in a period, a problem statement. We will get to the question in week 6. So week 5, we're dealing with our research problem. Then we move to our approach, which is the purpose, and the question, which is the questions that are directly related to the purpose. So a problem is a larger topical area. The purpose is narrowing to how we're specifically going to approach that problem, and the question is really kind of like Jeopardy. We're going to ask the purpose in the form of a question. Thank you. I'll take my topic for 200, please, Alex, and that's week 6. We finally come to our section or chapter 1, which is the introduction, and a draft of that in week 8. And in week 10, we have our chapter or section 2, which is our literature review. The reason I say chapter and section, if you're actually going to be building toward a thesis, then it's chapter. Most people in our course are going to be building toward a field research project, and then we're going to use the nomenclature of section, the semantics of section. So then we're going to have an instrument that we design. The instrument will actually reside within our methods section, which is section 3, methods section and rationale. That's week 12, so instrument in 11, and the methods section in week 12 that includes the instrument, 5 points, 5 points. And then we will have our final proposal, and that will be due right after Thanksgiving. So, and then we will have 2 weeks to conclude the course, where we will be actually having kind of a learning fair talking about presenting our research proposals. So that's going to be in weeks 15 and 16, our research proposals, and they are worth 25 points each. We've built all the chunks, and now that's worth 25 points each. All of this together is 65 points. And now we come to participation. Participation is very important in this class because that's where we're going to get a lot of our questions answered. Participation will occur in the forums, and I'm going to also ask you to have a midterm conversation with me, and that will be a 30-minute conversation. I encourage you to make that appointment right now, so email me for an opportunity before week 8. So that's before week 8. So check to see when specifically that is, and after that, then you will not get credit for the midterm conversation. We can still have it, but you will not get credit for it. So 30 points for participation, and then we have a human subject ethics training, the city training, that's worth 5 points. You may have already done the city training. If so, then just go ahead and send me your certification so that you can go ahead and get credit for that right in the beginning. So this again is going to be what our Moodle site looks like. This is also taking a look at week 1. Notice we have our framework where we start first. We have our course syllabus. We have week 1 resources and specifically readings. Those are articles for you. We've got a welcome and introductions. I will post my introduction there, and you separately post your introductions. You can respond to mine if you want, but post your introduction separately. And then we will move into committees. And the committees will be groups of us together, and 5 or 6 people in a committee, and that's where most of your discussion will occur. Discussion is the primary place where we will have participation. In the forums for week 1, this will be the first topic. There's a second topic as well. So when you go into your week 1 committee discussion, then there's an outline of what your discussion should be. So this is to help you to identify a topic. And remember that your topic is going to be due in week 2. So this is to actually help you to identify what your topic might be. This is where our participation occurs, and you are divided into 5 or 6 individuals that will be in your committee. The reason we're using the term committee is because in your orals, when you defend your research project or final exit strategy, you will have a committee. And the committee will be comprised of your advisor, another person in organizational learning and performance, and then an outside person referred to a graduate faculty representative who represents the graduate school and is there for quality reasons to ensure that the orals is a quality piece and that you are protected in it, so that the rigor is high enough for you and that you responded in a way that is representative of what other graduate students around the university would be expected to do. So there will 3 people that will reside on your committee. We're going to have 5 on this committee, but we are going to hold each other to a high standard to ask each other pointed and critical questions in order to become acquainted with the committee process and structure and to help each other as we build toward our proposal. So the frameworks, remember that the frameworks will guide each week. So each week we want to go first to the weekly framework, and the overview of research is week 1, and then we will go through all of our weeks to the week 15 and 16, which are finally when we present our final product, which of course is the draft proposal. So each week we'll have the objectives of that week stated. Then there will be a narrative introduction, and from there you will have learnings for that week, readings for that week, and an assignment for that week. And so that will also indicate the next due date for projects. Go first to our frameworks, right? First to the frameworks. So I want to end with, we have an Ask Dr. Karen forum for you to post any of your questions. If you've got a question, if you see something that makes you scratch your head and wonder why that's there, or why I can't find something, ask your question. Someone else probably also has that question. So I encourage you to, as you go into our forum each day, check if you see that there are 1 or 2 or more questions, and you will see that there are notifications on all of the forums if there are things that postings you have not yet read. So if there are any postings unread in Ask Dr. Karen, check it out and see if there's some question that someone else asked that is a question you also have. And I will go in, and that's the first thing I will do every time I go into the forum, or every time I go into our course, is respond to Ask Dr. Karen questions. So then we have announcements, and announcements where I will put anything that's new, anything that has changed, anything that I want you to be aware of, including that something is due, or if there's something that has changed up for us, then that's where I will put that. So I am looking forward to exploring our research topics together, and view this as a very exciting course, and a course where things should all come together for you. I certainly hope they do. Again, I'm looking forward to it, and welcome to Research in Organizations.